Three.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, my brother, King Randall, what's happening, family?
What's going on, boss? How you doing?
Yes, thank you for coming and joining me on my platform. We guys haven't formally gave it a name yet because, you know, I'm still in the process of just trying to lock in, but it was cold mirroring the minds before, but I think
Yes,
I
sir.
think I'm gonna kind of stick with it or you know switch it up. It all depends.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for being on the platform and let's get right into it.
Yes,
So
sir.
first question, let's start off with you as a person. What made you want to no, introduce yourself first for the listening audience, just in case they don't know who you are and what you and
Sure.
what you do.
Sure. Yeah, my name is King Randall. I'm the founder of the X for Boys program in the Life Preparatory School for Boys in Albany, Georgia, in the United States. I have two children. I have two sons of my own. I've been raising them for quite some time now. My oldest is 4, and my youngest, he's about to turn 2 in May. But that's King Randall II and baby King William Randall. But these are my babies. But right now, the X for Boys program is teaching young men, or have been teaching young men for about the past 4 years, how to work on cars and work on houses, and teaching them different skill trades, firearms training, and just as much as we can teach the boys to kind of get them out of the streets, get them to understand that they could go and be successful in other ventures besides basketball, football, and rapping. We're trying to make sure that they learn that you can go be a successful man, take care of your family, take care of your wife and children, and present that nuclear family to them again, because it's become, something that that people are against nowadays, and we want to show our boys that that's still the most successful way to be, and that's how we could thrive in our community. So that's a pretty brief description of who I am. I've opened a school a couple months ago for boys. It's an all boys boarding school. It's completely free. We don't charge parents a dime for the kids to attend our boarding school. We operate exclusively off of donations, so every time somebody gives, it goes straight to our students, and that's what I have been doing so far. But that's what our school does. That's who we are, and that's what I'm all about.
That's what's up, man. I really congratulate your inspiration to me because when I sit back and I look and I'm like, damn, I could be doing more for my community. I look at a brother like you and I say, you got to stir it up. And just for the listening audience, tell them how old you are because when I learned your age, that what really blew me away.
Yep, I started this when I was 19, and I'm currently 23 now. Opened the school at 22. Yep.
Yep, see. Now that right there is a feat that we should marvel in and rally around and really congratulate you and support you in all the ways we can because you're not just talking about it, you're doing it. And so we really respect you for that. But I guess my next question would be, what made you get into that? What made you decide, hey, I'm gonna change the direction for these young guys?
I think for the most part, seeing one of my classmates get sentenced to 30 years in prison for uh, a murder that he wasn't located at. His younger brother committed the murder, and but he was told to hide the weapon, and he didn't even know what had happened, and he got sentenced to 30 years for tampering, and it was terrible. And we're the same age, and he won't get out of jail till we're about 50 years old, and that just took his whole life away. And I think, because we didn't have any rehabilitation programs for juvenile offenders, that kind of stuck out to me. And that's why I started doing what I was doing, because nobody, was doing anything on a consistent basis. People were doing stuff to look like it was cool, or, being a football coach or what have you. But I wanted something that was going to be truly consistent, aimed at changing the minds of our children. Because we could give them things to do, we could tell them to do this, that, and the third. But if we're not being consistent with them and trying to do mindset changing, things won't change for them. And that's what I believe was the most important. So that's why I started the Extra Boys program, and to see the changes the children were making, like from the first month, it was beautiful. And that's why I believe in consistency in regards to our children, because that's what we need, and that's what they're missing. They're missing somebody that can be there with them every day, watching their moves, listening to them, etc. This is why our children go off the rails, because nobody's there listening to them, nobody's talking to them, nobody's hearing them, nobody's listening to them say that they can't breathe their whole lives. And I think that's important for us to kind of pay attention to, in our community is we don't pay attention to our boys, especially, and those who are in, single mother households, they need the assistance, they need the balance.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. That's a deep story. And I think that's the first time I heard you say that. So I appreciate that, man. And that 30 years is a long time. I went through a period of incarceration myself
Yes, sir.
when I was 16 years old, you know what I mean? For some
Yeah.
serious crimes. So I know. And so I was broke before I went jail, but I got more
Hmm.
when I got out. So, or when I was in jail. So I mean I respect that, man. So next question, I'll be like, so what's your politics when it comes down to it? Because I saw something you said we need to do for self. And it reminded me of so much of what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad brought to America and Marcus Garvey, that we need to up and do for ourselves. But I think right now we're in a period in time where we're still trying to transition into that do for self mentality, whereas you're doing for self. And a few other brothers out in America and here in Bermuda doing for self. But how can we shift the culture to everybody doing it for self? Hold on, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I think a lot of that is going to come with our children changing. And that'll be some things we're going to see, in a few generations after us or the next generation. And that's what I'm working for now. I'm working for my grandkids right now because I know the true changes I wish to see in our community won't happen until they get old enough to make them. And children are like sponges. They're very impressionable and they want to learn and they're willing to do better. But it's all in who's going to show them better, who's going to do better with them. All of that is what's most important. And I think as long as we dig into changing our children, that's what's going to push our communities forward.
For sure, for sure. Um, so the
Can you give
time,
me can you give me 1 second? I think I unplugged my Wi-Fi. 1 second.
no problem.
All right, we should be good to go.
Cool. So I think in terms of the culture where we worship collaborators, how do you think we could change that into now our young kids grow up worshiping the true leaders, you know, versus celebrities who are not necessarily uh, conscious of what we need to do and accomplish for our people. How can we change that?
We have to figure out a way to make things besides rapping, playing basketball, and football look cool. We have to showcase because there are so many different sports that Black people don't even get into, and usually if we get into a sport, we take over it. And so I've been trying to teach the students, to get into other sports other than just basketball and football. I'm like, guys, you could take over other things. You could take over other sports. So I think venturing out into different spaces will allow our children to see where other leaders are, whom don't necessarily think like the mainstream NBA players or the mainstream football players. And a lot of those guys even think differently. It's just a lot of them are controlled, by the powers that be. They can't say what they want to say or, or think how they want to think because of being controlled. So all of it, it's going to be a whole thing about us getting our own media. That's a big part. Taking these cell phones out of our kids' hand. That's a major part. Cell phones are a big reason why a lot of children worship celebrities and football players, blah blah blah, because that's all they get pushed on them all day. Versus the children at my school and my own students, they're not allowed to have cell phone. at our school. My kids are not allowed to have cell phone, maybe to watch a video or two or whatever, but they don't get on, on a daily basis all day, every day. Why? Because I'm the biggest influence in their lives. They want to be like me. They want to figure out how to be greater, and I'm just like, you have to learn how to be better than me. But that's what's supposed to happen. They're supposed to want to be like that male role model, male figure in their lives. So I've made what I do look cool. I've made, being young and being smart look cool. Being young and doing what you're supposed to do look cool. Versus, the other guys, they out here selling drugs look cool. They make it look cool. They make it like murder and being in gangs is cool. So they're gonna do what looks cool. They're gonna do what gets the girls or the nice cars or whatever like that. So I have to show them like, yes, I have pretty women that I'm able to talk to. I have a nice truck. I'm able to wear whatever I want to wear. Even though I don't wear any flashy stuff, I can. So I have to show them. Some of my friends, who do have those cool Challengers and all that stuff, but they don't do, rapping or selling drugs. They work at the hospital, and they do all these different things. You have to show them, what else could be cool, to our students. So we have to figure out as, parents and people in our community, how can we, make other things look cool other than the celebrities. But that's all that gets pushed on them. Take the cell phones out of their hand for a second, and actually show them real life. You never know what they may end up, being interested in or looking up to.
No, for real. Now you're speaking facts, man. I think that when it comes to our community, we're all about what's cool, you know? What about what's popular, you know?
Right.
It's interesting to see now in our time that we celebrate different figures. Whereas back in the 60s, you had people uh looking up to productive citizens, people
Right.
that were being productive.
Yep.
That changed by way of uh, systematic uh, targeting.
Hmm.
So we need to have a system, like you're saying, to reverse that. And
I think a lot of it came from after desegregation where we are. A lot of black people moved out of the black neighborhood and moved to, the more white neighborhoods or whatever like that. And so the kids who couldn't afford it all congregated in the same place. But back then, the doctor stayed next door to you. The lawyer stayed down the street. The surgeon was right there. The guy who owned his own store was right down the street. So you interacted with these people all day. But now the kids in the projects are only with the kids in the projects. They're only with single moms. They're only with people who aren't amounting to much, so they don't have nothing to look up to. Versus back in the day, these guys stayed next door to you because they didn't have a choice, but they had nice cars and they had nice suits and clothes. So they saw that stuff as cool. So it wasn't about being like, none of the boxers or none of that stuff or none of that craziness. Kids wanted to be like the guy that was next door to them. They saw the man pull up in a nice Cadillac next door. Sir, what do you do? Oh, I'm a lawyer. And boom, I want to be a lawyer because he got a nice car and I want a nice car. So but they think the only way to get nice car and stuff nowadays is to rap, play basketball, and play football because none of those people nowadays come back and show any love to the neighborhoods. Who does come back and show love to the neighborhoods? Your neighborhood game banger, your neighborhood rapper, your neighborhood football player, your neighborhood basketball player. Those are the only people that make their jobs look cool. But there's so many jobs out here that make so much money, and we have to figure out how we could make it look cool. But they don't get to see it anymore because those people moved out of the hood. They moved away. So those kids are all congregated together now, and all they see is the people who come back, and that's not any of the people in those professions that we would like for our students to try and get into.
oh, you're absolutely right, bro. You're absolutely right, and it makes perfect sense. We need damn people to come back and look
Mhm.
cool, doing what they do. So if you had to pick who's your favorite revolutionary of all time, who would you say?
Ah man, that's a long list. I say for America, I say Dr. King. And not the I Have a Dream Dr. King. I know people always get that part confused. I'm not talking about that Dr. King. I'm talking about 1967, 1968 Dr. King, the one they had to get rid of. That's my favorite revolutionary. Because he was so intelligent with the movement too, even though, at that time he didn't understand what he was getting us into, but the way he was able to maneuver that movement to make America look bad before the whole world, he was so intelligent. He was so smart, to do that, because America was looked at like this superpower and all that. So he was like, no, let's keep the cameras rolling. And we're going to go to all these cities and let them beat us down in front of the whole world. And so China going to be like, we don't even treat our poor people like that. Or Thailand, we don't even treat our poor people like that. And he made America looked terrible before the whole world, and the government had to bow to him to ask him how can they fix things to make things look better, or things better. But of course, he came into some other stuff about economics and things like that. And then he had so much power. Dr. King was the president without being the president at the time. He made America move. If Dr. King said anything, everybody moved. Black, white, Hispanic, you name it. And that was, that was heavy. But yeah, 1967, 1968, Dr. King, probably my favorite revolutionary. Yep.
All right, that's what's up. What about outside of America?
Mm. Oh, what's the guy's name? Lumumba?
It's Lumumba.
Yep. That guy. Awesome.
On the Congo.
Yep. That's a very great story.
Yeah,
very great story.
Him and Thomas Sankara.
Yep.
Yeah. And I see a lot of similarities in those guys and you. Like Thomas Sankara, what he did was he reduced his own paycheck as the president of Burkina Faso. Reduced his own money, his own paycheck, to ensure that work got done in that country. And I'm pretty sure you're intelligent as hell. You could go do something else. You don't have to put in the work for the boys. You know what I mean? You could be out there getting $1 million a year just based off of your intellect, right? And so for you to sacrifice that to take care of the community is similar to like a Thomas Sankara, like a Patrice Lumumba. So yeah, I respect that. I rate that. So reason I ask those questions is so you can identify your philosophy that you kind of lean towards, and so that you know exactly the trajectory in which a person is trying to transverse. So I think my next question would be, how could we set up a nation of our own?
Interesting question. Again, these are questions that I think will happen in generations time after us, and it's all going to go back again to raising our leaders. It's all going to happen with our children, and until we understand that, we're not going to move forward, because we focus so much on our collective selfishness, as in wanting everything to happen right now. And I'm just like, it's not going to happen right now. It's so many of us so far gone. But if we were to raise up, our leaders, and those are mistakes that I think our leaders made. Dr. King wasn't raising any more extra Dr. Kings. Malcolm wasn't raising 12, 13 more Malcolms under him. These guys weren't raising leaders. I'm like, you have to train your replacements. So I'm constantly, working with children and trying to give them, as much knowledge as I have, so when they get older in my age, they'll be unstoppable. I think that's what's most important in regard to our communities becoming our own. We have to train our babies. It's not going to happen until we train our children in the way they should go, and they'll never depart from it.
Exactly. No, man, you're hitting the nail on the head. All right, so we got about 9 minutes left, so I'm going to ask a couple more questions. Reparations. Do you think we ever see reparations in our lifetime?
I think our issue is.
Or do you agree with us trying to receive reparations?
Of course, I think our issue lies in us wanting to get reparations for the said reason reparations. I think that's an issue of ours because I'm like, there's a lot of money that we can get from these nations that we just don't tap into. We don't tap into it at all. They have so many laws and grants and money that they just give away all the time, but because we just simply don't know the information, we're not receiving it. And I know a lot of people, some people don't like following me because I have like white supporters and other nations supporting what I'm doing. And I'm just like, dude, that's how you speak the language of everyone. Didn't you say you wanted reparations? So what's the problem with white people supporting what we do financially? I'm like, they should want to support what we're doing financially. Even if I am only working with black kids, if they want to support, then let them do that. I'm not going to tell them, oh, because you're white, you can't support what I'm doing. I'm like, so how out the same mouth you gonna say you want reparations then if you don't want white people giving us money? I'm like, that don't make any sense to me, So I'm like, we have to figure out, so many different ways we can actually get those reparations, but we want them to just drop a check off and just be like, here, reparations, that's it. I don't even think that's appropriate anyway, considering what our financial mindsets are as a community, because it's going to go right back. If anything, they would be happy to give reparations, being honest. They would give it and it's going to come right back, because all you're going to see next week is new Cadillacs, new Benzes, new purses, new shoes, new cologne, haircuts, all that stuff. And then it's going to go right back to the white man. So literally, because we don't have no financial, like nothing, especially here in America. We got looking at statistics of how much money we be spending on unnecessary stuff, and we black people in America spend the most money out of the entire nation, and we're only 13%, but we spend more money than everybody else. So imagine giving us reparations. Boy, they'll have a field day. They would be getting the reparations, not us. So we have to learn, it's so many different ways. You have to know people in government. Like, people also get mad because I know politicians and stuff like that. No, I need to know these laws so I can help benefit these black boys that's in my program. I can't just run around here in this nation and don't know the laws and don't know people making the laws. We have to speak with them, know them, talk to them, and get what you can from both sides. I'm talking to Republicans and Democrats. I don't care who they are. We're going to talk to all of them and figure out what we can get from said people in those positions to help us in our school and our boys, and help them move forward. We just so busy trying to, listen to what other folks say and what the next podcaster says. We have to do everything right.
No, I agree. I agree. What about people that say that reparations were already paid to us in the likes of America setting up Liberia for freed slaves of the diaspora, and Sierra Leone being set up by the UK, Britain? What would you say to people that said reparations have already been given?
Be truthful. That's what I'll say. That's all I'll say to that. Be for real. Be for real.
Yeah, I feel like they might have set up the nations like how they did for Israel, but they're not funding it the way they're doing it for Israel. You know, they're not giving billions of dollars in reparation to Liberia or to Sierra Leone. In fact, Marcus Garvey's Hilding was trying to take people out of the diaspora to Liberia so that he can set up the nation for people. But what do you feel about repatriation? People going back to Africa. What do you think about that?
I think people who want to go back to Africa, I'm all for it, for those people who are from Africa. I know a lot of people who do that lineage, don't even have any roots there, because a lot of Indians were here too, or whatever. So I know a lot of people don't actually have any roots to Africa. A lot of people here in America that actually got Indian roots, and they don't even know it, or some people do know it. But me personally, I'm not with that. We helped build this country. This just as much as my country is theirs, So I'm gonna stay here, and we're gonna figure it out with the communities that we have. But we belong everywhere. I mean, we ain't not a nation on earth, that you ain't gonna find us. We was everywhere. So, I don't think, I think it's for whoever wants to do it. I'm all for it. Go back, and go back to our country, and our continent, and make it happen. But as far as me, I'm gonna be here because there's a lot of help, for our communities here, and people just won't be able to go back.
All right. And so this is going to be the last question. This is going to be a deep question. How can we, as Black people, globally, internationally, get respected internationally as a race of people? How could we garner that respect like the Chinese, like the whites, like the Jews, whomever?
Stop asking people to do for us what we could do for ourselves. It's really simple. That's probably the sole answer to that question. That's it.
Do for self.
Do for self. That's the only way you're gonna get respected. Once you stop needing everybody else or wanting to need everybody else, that's when you'll get respect. As long as you keep sitting with your mouth open, waiting on somebody to put a spoon in it, you're not gonna get any respect.
Just put the work in and let it go how it's supposed to go.
Yes, sir.
Sure. And man, I thank you for coming on and sharing with us your idea, your philosophy, and what you're
I
doing
appreciate
for the community. Uh, times we get into a situation where we don't give each other a hand up and say like, "Hey, man, I respect what you're doing. You're doing good."
it.
Like I said, we glorify in the wrong things at times, right? And it's all nice. We all like a little hip hop music. We like a little basketball, a little, a
Hmm.
little football, whatever. But we need to take our freedom more serious, our politics more serious,
Right.
and raise a nation of thinkers, of leaders, versus raising a nation of uh, fools and ignorant people. Uh, we 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 have to move forward. Um, but no, you hit the nail on the head, my brother. So I'm
Yes.
looking forward to getting you down here to Bermuda.
Yeah, and I'll touch base with some guys that I think will be some good hits. Like I said, Brother RZA, Brother Bennett. I think that'll just be a good lineup right there. Me, Brother Bennett, and Brother RZA. I think that'll be just a hit in itself.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah, and that'll be good.
Yeah, brother RZA, he goes hard. I haven't really seen him lately because I feel like it's been canceled, but
Oh yeah, they shadow ban him. He's had about 14 different Instagram pages. They keep blocking them all. But he always makes another one. But yeah, every time you stop seeing them just because they block the page, and you have to go find them again.
yeah, I see they're really trying to shut down certain people's messages, man.
Yep.
Uh, well, you stay positive,
I
and
appreciate it. Yes, sir.
you keep doing what you do. You're
Yes,
smart.
sir.
You're the real Dr. King in reincarnate, because you're staying below the radar. You know what I mean? But you're
Hmm.
doing the work, and so I respect you for
Yes,
that.
sir.
And yeah, bro.
All
And
right. Well, you got my number. Please let's converse. I'll talk to Ariza and Brother Ben on today, and we'll make some things happen. And I'll keep you updated on what they have to say about it. And I think they'll be all for it.
all right, my brother. We'll talk
All right.
soon.
All right. Peace out.
Peace out.